what is the mission? Do you have a mission statement? You will.
Yeah, the mission is to pay.
Yeah.
To the extent that I'm able to pay forward 50 years of leadership and life lessons too, not just leadership lessons. You know, I can talk to, when I look at a conference and say, am I a suitable speaker for this conference? And to me, it doesn't matter whether it's a nurses association or concrete builders. My message is universal to everybody because it's about leadership and life and learning from the mistakes and the good things that I've achieved in my life. But I do tell about it in my book, and I tell about it in my presentation. Let me tell a quick story. When I was in Command General Staff College, which is a mid-level schooling for military officers in the 80s, the Chief of Staff of the Army, who's a senior guy in the Army, came out to speak to us. And there were about 700 or 800 students sitting in this large auditorium, and he took questions afterwards. And at the end, he said, I'm happy to take any questions. And a major raised his hand and he said, sir, how do you define success in today's Army? And the Chief of Staff of the Army thought for a moment. He said, you know, most of you probably think I've been very successful. I'm a 4-star general. I'm the Chief of Staff of the Army. And we all thought, yeah, of course you've been successful. And he said, but I can assure you that there are probably 10 or 11 other Army 4-star generals, contemporaries of mine, that work for me right now, that if they were in my position as the Chief of Staff of the Army and they retired from that position, they would be disappointed. And we all thought, how can that be? And he said, because a career in the military, a career in life, a career in the corporate world is, particularly in a hierarchical organization, is like climbing a ladder. When you start off, you're standing at the bottom of the ladder. For me, it was ROTC, Purdue University, 1973, I got commissioned. For you, it was boot camp at either the West Coast or the East Coast.
Right.
And you got your Eagle, Globe, and Anchor put into your hand, and you became a Marine. That's the first handle on that ladder that you grab. And after you achieve it and you've got that pride of you've got there, you look up and the ladder is pretty high. For me, it was very high, but the very top rung on an officer's ladder is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And if you don't get to the top of the ladder, if you don't become the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, you haven't reached every rung of the ladder. But while you're climbing that ladder, you become tired because you're climbing. It becomes harder because the rungs are further apart. Sometimes you have to jump to get to the next rung.
Right.
The air is thinner because of the altitude, and everybody has a last rung on their ladder. And for 99% of us, it's not the top rung on your ladder. So occasionally, after I was a general in the Army or a senior executive in the Marine Corps, I would counsel colonels who were retiring, some of whom were very disappointed by the fact that they didn't become a general. And I said to them, you have achieved such a tremendous level retiring as a colonel in the Army or retiring as a colonel in the Marine Corps. You need to find another ladder. Put this behind you, look forward, and climb another ladder.